Welcome back to Satisfactory Update 5. My name is Nilaus and I have a very interesting and cool build for you today that I want to showcase, and I want to do it in several steps. First I want to explain the concept. This is what we are seeing now here. We want to explain the concept. I want to design it together with you with ratios, the placement, so that you can build it yourself if you feel so inclined. But first I want to just build or explain what the concept is. So you can see I built two towers, or starting two towers. They will grow higher, as we can see over on the horizon. Our turbo fuel power plant is also growing, and that is basically the same concept. Here the concept is to use recycled rubber and plastic together with the diluted fuel, so two alternate recipes, combining those to get the optimal amount of rubber and plastic from oil. This is something that you can build in many different ways, but one of the big issues I have with this, the ways I've seen it built previously, is that you have to build ginormously to get started with, and that's something that I find to be super inconvenient. I really like building modular designs, so that when you build things, you can build it and then get, for example, 200 rubber, and then you can build it, expand it much easier as you go along. You can see these builds for for rubber here and for plastic over there. They're exactly identical. The colors are chosen by, of course, the hype train winners from the Twitch streams. This is designed as part of the Twitch stream on where I'm building this base. So if you are interested in that, come on over to Twitch. It's where I'm streaming this. It's on Twitch TV/Nilaus. It's Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Central European Time. Let's talk a bit about this build, because it revolves around some core parts, namely plastic. This is the rubber build, so we're going to start by looking at plastic. Of course, there is this really cool recycled plastic that you take rubber and make it into twice as much plastic by adding some fuel. That's a really good one. On top of that, you also have the same one for rubber, where you take plastic and add some fuel, and then you double the amount of rubber. Go from plastic to double rubber. So you could kind of just go back and forth between these two, and that is the essence of all of this build. Together with, now that we have the fuel, let's open the fuel one, together with the diluted fuel in the blender recipe later game. When you have that as well, then you have a very efficient way to make fuel. So combined with the efficient way to make plastic into rubber, efficient way to make rubber into plastic, and an alternate version to make really efficient fuel, that is a very good combination to make tons and tons of stuff. So what I want to start by doing is take a look at our inputs. What I want each tower to have 600 oil coming in, and each floor will consume 600 oil. Then I want water. That's what we have here. You can see the green tower, they are colored green. This one is colored orange because it goes to the orange tower. Here we have some extractors, and this is where I'm going to be showing my first little trick. Here we can see, if we just pick out this one, that one, and you can see that I have built concrete foundations below. Oh no, I also have now built something else below here. I have a box of shame. Don't want to do that. There. I want to show you that if you build these below ground, you can sometimes. Oh, a creature's in the way. Ha! It's a doggo. I was like, no, why doesn't that work? It works. Of course it works. There.
You are so lucky that you found this most valuable artifact.
There we go. And we can build it and apply it here as well. It likes to work even better if there is no... This one can do it even better. Because if we look at it, you can see it now snaps to the network, the grid. This one didn't snap because it's kind of close to the edge. But here we can see it snaps to the network, and that means you can, for once, actually build your extractors in a nice grid as well and make them aligned. I'm going to set each of these extractors here to generate 200, and the other one over this side as well, 200, and get them powered as well. There, so that is powered. That means you can see these two go in here, 200 each. That means 400 on each pipe, and there are 5 pipes, so that will be a total of 2,000 water, which is what we want to get in. I will have it on 5 pipes instead of less pipes. You could put it on 4 pipes, but I want it here because that means each pipe will service 2 floors. You can see this pipe goes in, services 1 floor, and then is ready to go up to the next one. That is what we're going to do. So what we are looking at is a total of, if you look here at the rubber, we have a massively useful ratio, and that is the overall ratio is 60 oil for each level, 60 oil inbound, 200 water inbound, and that gives us 200 rubber. That is absolutely insane amounts of water. No, was it 200 rubber? I think it's 180 rubber. 180 rubber. So we get all the way down here. Yes, there we have the ratios. I get 180 rubber from 60 oil, and then 200 water. You can see the sponsors of these factories over here. It's slightly less for the plastic, but that's because we can come back to that and show you why that is. Good. Let's go up and then start looking at the design. This is step 2, designing the ratios, so you get an understanding of sort of the core principle of this design. And I will do it in a very specific way. I will do this one. Now this tower is the rubber tower, so we're going to start with plastic. That's ironic, but we're going to start with plastic. If we look at this, this is taking 30 rubber in. So if you can imagine that we have 30 rubber, then we can get 30 rubber to get into 60 plastic. That's good. Then if we could take that and go the other way, and then go that into recycled, then I can take half of the plastic that we got in and make it into double the rubber. That's excellent. And then if I take one more, which obviously is going to be the same, that means now we are consuming all of the plastic we built for the first one. This is outputting 60. Go with 30 in here, 30 in here, and that will now give us 120 rubber outbound, 2 times 60, which will then go back into this one where it consumes the first 30 of them. And that means if I take these 3 together and just sort of group them as one, then the net result of this is 90 fuel in, 90 rubber out. That is absolutely amazing recipe. Absolutely amazing recipe. Now it does have this flaw that it needs something to start up, but that's totally okay. But this is the core part of this design, and this is the basis of how it's going to work. By doing it like this, we can make sure that we do not need to build like a massive factory where you have to design everything up front and make some complicated loops. This is a very, very simple little loop, and it is, first of all, it can self-start, and it cannot jam. Those are 2 very, very important principles when you are building this. So that's one thing. Well, we do need some fuel though. So if we do need some fuel, where we get some fuel, we're going to get that in a blender. If you look at the blender for the diluted fuel, this, you can see this one can produce 100 per minute, and I will just scale it down to 90. That will mean it gets all of it what we want here. If I scale it down to 90, I need 45 inbound of heavy oil residue. So we need to get a way to make heavy oil recipe, and we're going to rely on yet another alternate recipe. That's the heavy oil residue. 30 crude oil to 40 heavy oil. So I could either scale this slightly up, or I can say this is going to be the dictating the cadence. So this outputs 40. If I scale this down to 80% done, this is now also consuming 80 here, 40 heavy oil residue plus 80 water, outputting 80 fuel. If I do that, then I have to scale this one down slightly to 88.899, 8889, something like this. Yes. And then that will be a total of, by doing that, there will be 30 plus 30 plus 30, that's 90 multiplied by 88.89, then it'll be up down to 80. So I will consume the 80 fuel. So now this is a complete ratio. We get 30 fuel inbound and we get 90 rubber outbound. The only thing is we can't start it at this point. And we need water, of course, but also we have some polymer resin. What are we going to do with the polymer resin? If we have a look at it as well. Okay, we have some polymer resin. What could we do this? We could use this to make some residual rubber. Residual rubber, 40. And that means this one would only operate at slightly less, they work at exactly half speed. Or basically saying that I want 2 of these designs, this module here, multiply it. So I'm going to have these 3 plus 1 blender plus the heavy oil residue times 2 for each one of these. This will also make sure that we have the additional polymer resin will make rubber, another 20 rubber as well. So we have over here we make 80 rubber per minute and then multiply by 2, that's 160 rubber, and then another 20 here. This 20 rubber will also be going into this line here and make sure that this one will get started, because all of these rely on some kind of seed rubber or plastic in order to get going, and that will get from the residual rubber over here. So we have no byproducts, nothing to vent, and we have a way that it will self-start. So now we have all of the stuff we need. So that means for each level we're going to need 3 times 2, because on the other side is that 6 refineries, 7, 8, and then another one here, 9. So 9 refineries and 2 blenders for each flooring. So let's remove these and then get started on where we want to do the actual design. So we're now ready to build, and luckily it makes it a lot easier by me having built this framework in advance, where we can also have some power already available. So let's go here. I built these as they are the way that I'll be getting it out of this location, and it'll also help me for alignment purpose. This is only working for alignment, so that's an alignment here. And what I want to do first is make the... Here, let's see, is it like that? Oops. It is here. And align it with this. I always, very much always, make the the refineries, set them in the middle here, because they take basically 3 tiles. And if I do it this space, then the here will go into a splitter that's going to be put in the middle here. So that's always how I want to do this. This one will be the recycled plastic, because we're building a rubber plant here. And now I should say I'm only going to build the rubber plant, and then once that's done we can take a look at the plastic plant, because it's basically the same, and we can just look at the slight difference there is. So here I leave it, you can see here this is turned around so it goes the other way, and I leave it with 2 spaces, 2 spaces in between. The 2 spaces in between is simply because I want to make sure that there's room for getting a pipeline in, and the next one I make it completely flush against that one as well. And then we do the same thing on the other side. Start by having that one, and then I rotate the other way. That may be good, who knows. There. Alright, so that's done, and then the next one is going to be slightly more difficult, right? I want to make sure that if we look at this location, this will be where I merge things in. So I'm going to be merging here. This will go, I'll just make it in Mark 1 because it's not going to be particularly fast, so that will go in here. But I also need to make sure that whatever comes from this side also merges in here. That means I need to again get a bouncer or a alignment splitter, and if I place it right in the middle here, then it will fit perfectly. But there's one thing to take note of. I cannot build it. Let's build it. This is where I'd like to build it, but if I do that, you can see the output of the refinery does not match to the input of the merger. So I have to slide it over by 2. That means it is not centered, but that's actually not a problem. This one will be the one making the residual rubber, and because I make the residual rubber here, you can see that it can go into this location, and it matches perfectly, snaps evenly on here. We are going to make all the connections afterwards, but it's just to show you how it works. Then now we need to put in the blenders. The blenders are actually going to be very simple to make or place. They will be placed at the same place, 5 and there. That's the blender. It will be placed like this, exactly on the lines will be perfect, and on the same line over here I'll place it as well, and then it'll be slightly out. That was not correct, was it? No, it was not correct. So that's not what I want to do. Sorry about that. I thought I had it. I did not. I want to make it aligned towards the middle of the recycled plastic and rubber, but the edge coming towards us, you can see here the edge by my left hand, then, or our left hand here, is aligned towards it so that the inputs here are flush. There, those are flush, and then I'll take that one just slightly out. These will make the fuel parts, and there. This will make the diluted fuel and diluted fuel. Right, so now there's only one remaining thing to do, and that is making the heavy oil residue, and I want to make it in this location, which again will be align it towards the middle, and align it towards the middle on the other side as well. Here. So that is all of the recipes we need. This is heavy oil residue, and this is also a heavy oil residue. Now we have all of the buildings. Let me just go up a bit. So basically we have oil coming in outside here, oil coming in outside there. Then we can consolidate the heavy oil residue and the resin on the middle. Resin can go into this one to make some residual plastic, and the heavy oil residue can go out to the blender, and the blender together with some water, because these three are the only things that require water, so they are also a really nice location for inputting water. And then we have fuel going out, and that will feed into from the outside here, from the outside, but unfortunately this has to be fed from inside, same as this, inside, and these two are fed from the outside and outside. And then, because that's how the middle works, let's look at transition into the next step, and that is looking at connections. So the first thing we want to do in terms of connections is going to be here. We are going to make and all of these locations, and this is pretty simple. I wish they wouldn't rotate. I don't like that they're rotating. I have a very tough time seeing that there's a good reason why they rotate. In any case, so what I have now is, I'll take these out, the lower ones, and we can then go very, very easily hook things up. They don't need to be more than speed 1 belts, but the transport lane in the middle needs to be faster. So this will now consolidate the residual that will always work, and these here will be the recycled rubber, but they will not work until they get some plastic. But they're not going to get some plastic anytime soon. So I will build here. This is, I am aware, this is a splitter. Sorry, this is a balancer. Ugh, it's a merger. But what I want is actually building here, this is a smart splitter. So this is the important part. I'll build a smart splitter, and then I'll take the other two out. The other two were just to get it up to the right level. This is now a smart splitter. I don't know if this is still a problem, but I always set them to none first. And then this will go from and in here. Then I need to prioritize the right hand side to go any, and the center to be overflow, so that whatever comes in here of rubber will prioritize going into this. Then we'll go on to the next level, or the next one, which will be the same here, here, and then take the smart splitter at the top. Take the other two out. That one. And this one will, again, first we set all of them to none, just to make sure that they don't do anything weird. And then we set left one to any, and the middle one to overflow. So what I have now is basically an overflow here. That one goes in. And then we build outbound. And we get this middle one here. Middle one. I'm making... Oh, that's not what I wanted. There. Alright, so that is this part. I want to do that in detail because I think that's important to understand exactly what's going on here. So it consolidates all of the rubber on the same belt, and then it prioritizes the output into the recycled plastic. We get the rubber to get the plastic, and then it goes out here again. We'll deal with the outputs later on. What we want to do now is I'll show you how to do the belting input for this side, as well as the output here, the fuel output. And that gives us the inputs on the outside. You can see here, it comes out here at 60, it's actually 53, comes out and then splits into two here. And then the same as the other one, the fuel here comes out and again splits into the first rubber, the second rubber, and then goes into the middle. Into the middle, it consolidates with the other belt, or the other pipe, and then goes into the two locations here for the recycled plastic. Now then we have more spaghetti over here to deal with, but that's it's kind of not so relevant, but I'm going to be building it sort of in a as well in a time lapse so that you can just get a sense of it if you want to recreate it the same way, and it might be a bit weird how that's done. So with this done, we now have set up all the pipes, including in all of this. Actually, does it start work? Is it start working? Yeah, it actually is starting pumping in here. That's actually really nice. So all I need to do now is just a few things, such as powering it up. And I've already prepared this grid in advance. You can take a look at it, and basically each floor is 36 meters tall. So I put each of these as 18 meters. By making it 80 meters, it means that the grid here is evenly spaced all the way up, and I think that looks good. The distance from here is 40 meters. Here's 40 meters plus another 40 meters. So that is also a really nice length here. This one I make it afterwards. That's kind of more complicated, and I just round it off. You can do it whatever shape you like, but in this case, the key point here is this is 40 plus 40. These middle ones here are 36 into the middle, and then 36 on the other side, and that just makes it sort of nice symmetric that this is 36 meters plus 36 meters, and each floor is 36 meters tall as well. I like that. It's nice. I try to cram it in without just going absolutely crazy on it. So let's what we need to do is just basically hook it up here, and it's gonna start working. We will of course need to do some minor things as well. We are going to make it colored. We are going to make sure that we have our what we're going to do, we're going to make it colored, and we are going to adjust the recipes exactly, and then it should be working. Then we're going to look a bit on the inbounds and outbounds, go through that. I did show it, but I want to just highlight how you integrated it back into the train station as well once we're done with this part. And we're coming back here to the start of the factory where it's operational and it's been working during the night. I just waited for the dawn to get here so we could actually see something, and beautiful dawn is coming up over our little factory. Let's talk a bit about how it works, and just as we hover over it, we can see how it works. Unfortunately, I don't have access to any blueprints, and I know there are mods to do it, but that's not how I want it. If someone wants to draw up a blueprint or a floor plan or make a blueprint, by all means, you're very welcome to do that. And if you link it, if you should feel like it, and link it in the description, then I will, or link it in the comment section, then I'll also pin it so anyone else can see it, or maybe share it on my Discord. That would also be a good place to share those kind of things. I think that I like building this, and once I got it down, then I can kind of remember it because I have these very stringent rules about where things are going, where the belts are flowing, belts and pipes are flowing. Let's take a look at it, and let's just cover some of the things about the inbounds and outbound, because when we deal with a big vertical build like this, there are some things such as you're going to need some pumps. Technically, we don't actually need this pump or this pump. It works fine without them, but I think I'm generally just adding them just for consistency's sake. Just adding pumps to every level, just to make sure that we get a good flow upwards for all these things. But what I'm done here is I have 5 lanes in. As I said, 400 in each. 400 means 200 for this level, and the next one up here gets the other 200. That's also why we only have a normal belt in here, or normal pipe in here. The fuel here is different because this one will get 600 in, 60 will go into, and I don't need that one here. And 60 will go into this level, and then the rest will go up. 60 will go into this level, and then the rest will go up to the next level as we build that. We have also the same on the outbound side, because this level here is building 180 rubber per minute. That's 3 per second. So what we're seeing here now, everything should be fully saturated. This one should be fully saturated. It's completely full. This one fully saturated, yes. And as it outputs, it will be almost a full belt. You can see there's a little gap once in a while, and that goes in. These ones are also not fully saturated, but they are saturated, so that's good. They're not sort of oversaturated. And it works, and it can actually go in and out. So what I'm doing here is now I'm bringing it down, and then once I build the next one down, then I'm going to have some way of bringing it in that will make sense. So let me just show you how they've done that down here. Now this looks weird, but what I have here is a merger, because of course I'm going to merge the top with the current floor and then put it out. So I'm putting it out here. This is the out part of the merger. This is the input, and then I have down here and rotated and go in. And the reason why I'm putting it here instead of on that side is because I also need this one. And the reason why I'm now doing this, if I look at it, we have 180 for each floor. How many will that be if I have 10 floors? That will be 1800. 1800 rubber coming in. That's definitely going to be more than 1 belt. It's going to be more than 2 belts as well, but 3 belts is kind of horrible. So what I've decided is I want to put it on 4 belts. That means I will have basically, eventually, if we ever get to building the entire thing, then I'll have 4 belts. That means 2.5 floor will go into each belt, or maybe 2.5 floor. No, actually I can do 3 floors, right? 180. Yeah, I can do 3 floors. 3 floor, 2 floor, 3 floor, 2 floor. But that means when it comes down, we'll have multiple inputs here. Basically, oh, I fell down. Damn, that sucks. How did I? Okay, let me get up again. Here, what I mean is when I have 1 belt in, it goes in. And then I put it into 2 boxes. These 2 boxes, they don't have any additional part here. This is one of the things that just blows my mind, how they have not done that. How the hell is this not balanced? If it's something, if one goes in, then it should alternate 1 out for the lower, 1 out for the higher, 1 out for lower, 1 out for the higher. It definitely should balance, and it doesn't. It just throws the majority on the lower one, and that means it's going to be super imbalanced for the time being, and it'll only saturate once it does that. And I feel that that's just a complete missed opportunity that's there. It will saturate, it will be fine when we get a bit further. This is unfortunately just one of the ways I can start making really advanced splitters and mergers, but I don't want to do that. So if I have 1 belt coming in, it'll go in here, split into 2. If I have 2 belts, then I will have the other one on top, so that also splits into 2. When I have 3 belts, I'll have 1 into the lower, 1 into the left one, 1 into the right one, and then 1 split among the 2. When I have 4, then it just goes into one of these 4 outputs, and then it'll go down here. Now, I can't imagine a world where I'm going to be consuming 1800 rubber per minute, but hey, it might happen. So last thing we want to do is we want to take a look at the very different thing that the only thing that's different when we come over here to the plastic build. You can see a different color because there's a different sponsor, and the sponsors come from Twitch followers and during hype chains, and then you get to decide your color of your factory and get your name on it as well. So the only difference here is this one. The polymer resin into plastic is a worse recipe than the into rubber. So here it's actually by default it's 60 into 20. The other one was 40 into 40. Though 40 into 20, this is 60 into 20. So I won't be able to quite do as much as we do here. Let's have a look at the other recipe for comparison. Over here, that one is there. Then 40 into 20. So if I make 80 rubber here, 80 rubber here, plus 20, that's 180 rubber for each floor, coming from 60 oil. That will be 7 less for this one. So instead of 180, it'll be 173 outbound as well, 173.33 to be perfectly correct. It is such a minor difference, but it is actually the most optimal build you can get out of this. And what I've done here is a modular build. So if you want 170 rubber, 170 plastic, or 180 rubber, you just build one floor. If you need more, build another one, and most likely you're never going to build up to 10. But in this case, it is possible to build it up to 10, and I have prepared for it. So that means, like my turbo fuel power plant over here, whenever I need more, I can just add another level, and it just goes higher and higher, which is also pretty cool because we can then see it from all over the world. I hope that this was inspiring to you. I chose to do it this way, in a way that first we do a bit of showcase, and then I do an instruction on how to actually build it and set it up. And I think that's a really good way so that you can build it yourself, not just show that, hey, I built this, but you have no chance of rebuilding it. So I hope that it's useful. If it's useful, you know the drill. Hit the like button. It helps out the channel tremendously with the visibility. It's very difficult to break into a new domain such as Satisfactory and get sort of become a stable household name in the world of Satisfactory designs as well. So a like here and there would help me a lot. And of course, comments if you have good ideas, bad ideas, or feedback for this build. And of course, if you want to watch more and be part of the design process, then I'm streaming over on Twitch. It's at twitch.tv/Nilaus. It's basically every day, almost every day. But it's Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Central European Time. That is when we play Satisfactory. So I'll see you guys there, or maybe here in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting. I'll see you guys next time. Take care and stay effective.